Chapter 19. Sean sat opposite Heaton at the small kitchen table in the corporal's flat. Between them was a teapot, 2 half-full mugs, an open packet of ginger nut biscuits, an envelope full of money, and the main focus of their discussion, 2 Glocks. Heaton grabbed his mug and took a gulp. So, pop quiz, hotshot. Which one's real? Sean stared at the pistols. They're identical. Without doing the NSPs, pick them up, Heaton suggested. He did exactly that. The weight was the same. The serial numbers were there. Even the number written by the quartermaster on the hand grip. They were identical. I don't understand. They're both real, right? Heaton placed his mug on the table, picked up the weapon on Sean's right. He pulled back the slide so that Sean could see the spring mechanism inside. It was never going to fire real bullets. As long as no one cocks it, no one will ever know. It's really too easy. All I do is get the fake, knock it around to give it that worn-in look, sort out the serial number and the number from the quartermaster's records. And no, he cut off Sean's question, the quartermaster isn't in on this. Anyone can look up the records. Then I replace the airsoft magazine with the real thing, they're dead easy to get hold of, and there you go. Sean sat back and remembered the briefing on how the arms coat, the secure armoury where the weapons were stored, worked. It was next to the guard room, which was permanently manned by armed soldiers. It had a permanent storeman, a veteran sergeant who had lost a leg in Afghanistan and was medically unfit for ops, not a man who would easily be fooled. He was responsible for ensuring that all the weapons were present and secured by chains. Each one was individually checked out and signed for, and then checked back against the arms book, which listed every number. The book was seen daily by the duty officer, who would also count the weapons, and the RQMS, the regimental quartermaster sergeant, checked the armoury at irregular intervals too. Any missing weapon would soon be found. So, he said, thinking this through. Heaton gave him an encouraging nod to go on. It was all falling into place. You get the number of the real gun, but then you've got to get the number onto the fake. They're not just written on, they're engraved. So, you get the number one day out on the ranges, and then the next time you're on the ranges, you've got the fake all prepared, the real gun comes out to the ranges, the fake goes back. Give the boy a GCSE, Heaton said admiringly. You got it. How do you know who's got the gun you want to swap? I'm the corporal, remember? I've got every reason to check the records. I just look up which private has the weapon I'm after. Then, at the end of the day, when all firing is done, I make an excuse, a snap inspection, to check his weapon, and I make the switch. Bloody hell. Despite everything he had been feeling about supplying stolen weapons to people like Copper, Sean felt a grudging glow of admiration. Heaton was to guns what Sean had been to cars. It was a whole new area of law-breaking, and any kind of expert had to be respected. That's brilliant. Then he shook his head to clear it and let reality back in. But someone's going to want to fire the fake at some point in the future. Heaton grinned. There's more guns than there are soldiers. The storemaster rotates the collection, and I know the pattern. I always take a weapon that's about to be rotated out of use. After a couple of months, sure. Gun number 12345 is going to come back into circulation. The fake will be discovered, and this little earner is going to come to an end. But until then, he tapped the envelope. Money, money, money. So far, I've lifted 4 Glocks, and I'll get a few more in. Plus, there's plans for other stuff. It'll do more than end. It'll be a fucking Hurricane Force shitstorm. And not one speck of it will hit yours truly. Heaton flashed Sean a complacent smile. Or you. The smile seemed to slip off his face and just hang there like it had been snagged on something. It was technically a smile, but there wasn't an ounce of humour in it. I've got a long memory, and let's just say I have my fall guys lined up to take the rap. The smile reminded Sean just a bit too much of Copper. It reminded him that however much he might admire the heist, he wasn't in this for fun. This was to protect people. Heaton had lied too many times for Sean to think of him as a friend now. But everything he was saying had the ring of truth about it. All the lies had been things Sean wanted to hear. He didn't particularly want to hear this. Even so, he had to ask, "Suppose you need to supply a bulk order?" He got another of those complacent smiles. "Baby steps, Harker, baby steps. I'll let you in further when I'm confident you're not going to wuss out on me again. Let's just agree that I have other little side operations going on and leave it at that." Sean flushed. He had not wussed out. He had been fucking livid about being played and used. But he had other priorities now. He sat back, thrust his hands into his pockets, gazed at the two pistols that were lying side by side in front of him. The blaze of admiration for a stroke of sheer law-breaking genius was being pissed on by the one fact that he was truly unhappy about. We're still getting firepower into the hands of civilians, people like Copper. Heaton sighed. People like Copper have come to the same conclusion as people like you and me. There is a problem. This is a solution. This stuff isn't for robbing banks or doing houses over or scaring people. It's for use against the enemy. And face it, you know the enemy when you see them. Sean thought again, for the 1000th time, of Clark's bomber. Oh yes, he knew the enemy. He sighed and bit his lip, and looked up at Heaton from under his brows. Okay, you got me. I'm in. Heaton grinned. I knew you'd see it made sense. You're not stupid. Okay, first things first. He opened the envelope and peeled off 25 £20 notes. Sean didn't reach out to take them. Heaton folded the notes, reached over, and tucked them into Sean's breast pocket. Then he leaned back in his chair and rested his hands behind his head. And you're just in time to help me with the next job. This is something else. Bigger than the armory scam. I can put a Glock in my coat, but these... not so much. What? Sean asked. What's the something else? Heaton got up, walked over to a cupboard, and pulled out a long box with an airsoft logo at one end, which he laid on the table. Sean saw the picture on the top and felt his heart stop. He didn't need Heaton to open it up, but he did anyway. SA-80s, Heaton said. He lifted the weapon out and laid it on the table with the Glocks. You were asking about bulk orders? This is the fake. We need the real deal, ×6.